Welcome, everybody. I'm your host, Octavius, also known as the Urban Thinker. We got another good brother here today. I'm very excited about this one. We have a father, husband, businessman, and someone who lives by the code of action speaks louder than words. Good brother, if you can introduce yourself, please do.
Appreciate that. I guess Jimmy Burks. Most people call me Jimmy. Legal name James. But I guess proud resident and native of Philadelphia. Someone who, I guess, just losing the power of helping others realize their potential. Social services background, but also entrepreneur. And I guess man of many things. Try to be.
Yeah. I hear you, good brother.
A constant learner. So
I appreciate that because everybody believes that you can learn from anybody, and then also a constant learner of anything. So I appreciate you for adding that into this space. So we're just gonna kick it off, brother. What's one thing you love about being a black man?
That's a great question. The first thing that came to mind, I think, is just our camaraderie. I see it amongst our sisters as well, or just people of the diaspora. But just that common bond that sometimes you don't need to speak on it. It's just like unsaid, those nonverbal communication cues and those things like that. So I really do love that. Sometimes you just walk into a room and it might just be the head nod or what's going on, brother. Good to see you. You know what I mean? Just those different greetings. Silently and publicly rooting for each other. I'm just very appreciative of that. To be, I guess, be born into it. And, amongst my friends and our family, it's just something that I do cherish, as being a black man. I really value that. And like you said, try to live amongst a code of, just really trying to put my best foot forward every day and support my fellow black men.
Yeah, I hear you when you say that silent support. So I think that's key as far as having that silent support when it comes to walking into a room and saying, I see you, brother. I don't know you, but I see you. And I think I commend you for saying that because that's very important amongst black men. I see it a lot with black women. Like they'll uplift each other very well,
yes,
but then they'll do it outspokenly. So like they'll say it out loud, whereas like us, we don't do it as much. We just look and pay attention and observe. So I thank you for saying that. And I do hear you when you say the head nod, because we had a lot of brothers on that provided that same sentiment of the unspoken language of black men. And having that unspoken language is very important. And I see that in myself and you. Even when I met you at Episcopal Community Services, ECS, we didn't know each other, but we kind of knew like, all right, brother, I see you. I know the work that you do, but I need to learn more about you in order to understand you. So I'm going to get into this space of getting in the den with you. So like diving deep into who you are and your expectations and how you discover yourself and navigating this world that we're in. So the first question I got for you is, at what moment did you discover your blackness?
Oh, man, I'll probably say earlier than I can remember, or I guess earlier as I can remember. As a young child, I was, I think raised to be very aware of not just who I was, but, family, lineage, those things. Not just my mom, but my grandmother, other women and other men in my family. We were very proud of our history. We used to have family reunions every year, which, again, we had our older individuals. My grandma was one of 10, so I was always hearing different stories on their upbringing, different history, how we got here. So I think early on I was like, okay, this is what it looks like, to be in a black family, be a black man, be raised by, a black woman, come from a black man and a black woman and those things. And, to be proud of that, I think it was something we always celebrated. Just our upbringing, the challenges and the successes. So I would definitely say early on, I don't even know like the age, but, learning those things, our history was really emphasized, and, stressed on us, to be aware of and to know who we are, come from and where we're trying to go.
I love that because everyone thinks the education system and everybody else should teach about blackness, teach about certain things. But I also believe that it should start at home. But if you don't know anything, like you always said, you're a learner. So you have to learn things on your own in order to know and not have the knowledge around what it means to be black, your blackness, and understand that. And I'm glad that your parents showed you that, because then what would have happened? You'd have walked around life not knowing
Yeah.
your blackness, not understanding it, not appreciating it. And I see even with you, your wife, and your son, it exudes out when you show like this is who we are, and you have to accept that. And I think not knowing your parents, but hearing you talk about them a lot, that lets me know that they instilled in you something very important and that it stayed with you. And for me, mine was crazy because it's like I experienced it at Arcadia. I said this to a lot of people, where I had a teacher say that, did you write your paper? And like just that experience alone was when I discovered myself as a black man and understanding that this can happen to me.
Yeah.
But on the other end, I also have a mother that instilled in me certain morals and certain values to my blackness, and to be able to stand on my own 2 feet and say, I'm a black man and I appreciate who I am. So like we have the same kind of thing, but it gets from the point of you had a 2-parent household, I had one, but it's the same exact thing.
Well, no, I mean, I didn't meet my biological father till I was 18.
Okay.
So that part of my family from Charleston, South Carolina. So that is very much something that I've learned to, I identify with. I didn't grow up in Charleston, from Philly. But, I was introduced to my grandmother first when I was about 10. That was kind of like my way into that family. And since 18, I've been like, we go down and really forge a relationship with my father and that side of my family, my uncle. So it was very much my mom, my grandma, my grandfather, my 2 aunts who were my mom's sisters, and then just kind of like a community or a village. I won't say community, a village of just literally aunts, uncles, play aunts, godparents. I'm 35, so it was very much like everyone knew us in the neighborhood, like, oh, that's Vicky's kids, so it wasn't much we could do or couldn't do without people.
Yeah.
But I think that helped us hold ourselves accountable. Like you said, we expected a lot of ourselves. Because, it was one of those, like, we can't get away with much because, people know us in a good way.
Okay. I thank you for sharing that because, yes, I did not know that information, and I'm glad that you expressed it now. So for that, in that space, because like I said, in a single parent household, you may not see who your biological father is. You may know who he is. He may be in the area, but I've always had the conversation with my mother about, I want to check off the box and just say, hey, who is he? What does he look like? And what flaws do I have from him? What strengths do I have from him? I met my biological father when I was younger. And then when I got older, I had to make the decision, do I want to have the conversation with him on why he left? So for you, I think that meeting him at an older age, how did you explore those feelings of meeting your biological father and understanding, this is my biological dad? Am I upset? Am I sad? Am I ready to meet him? So like, what were those feelings that you had to explore that day?
Oh man, a lot. I mean, it was a journey, you know what I mean? And I think, like I always grew up knowing who he was, and it was a very interesting relationship. As in, like, that wasn't my first introduction to Charleston. Some of my family, I grew up earlier on knowing I had family in Charleston. I have my aunt who's called my aunt, but she's really my cousin. But we had the same birthday, so which is literally like my dad's blood cousin. So I grew up knowing, or kind of like, oh yeah, we may talk on the phone a few times, but I think early on, when you're younger, I do remember, like, you're 6, 7, you're angry, but you don't know why you may be angry, or you don't understand, like, why can't they just come here, or why can't I just go there? Or why, that's my episode, Fresh Princess. Why you don't want me, man? Like that. It's differently when you've experienced some level of that. So I do remember that being younger. But then it's starting to feel like just a different level of, I don't say completeness, but when I met my grandmother, my uncle, who was really instrumental in like forging these relationships of being like, yo, you need to be in his life, you know,
Yeah.
or like if you don't, say that, you know what I mean? But really, challenging my dad, you know, he's very, I'm laid back, but he's probably more laid back than me. I think they're from a different generation where they don't know how to explore those different feelings. I know he's in his 70s, you know, so it's from a different, they have a whole different mind perspective on how they look at things, or how they deal with things, which I think for us sometimes it can be frustrating.
Yeah.
You know, I think we're more of like, we're going to tackle it head on if we need to, versus running from it in most instances.
Yeah.
You know, we try to, black men, we try to uphold ourselves to that. But, you know, I think when I got to the point when I was like, all right, I'm going to go down, my mom was like, you know, supporting me in that. You know, she never was like on that type of like, from that sense of like, oh, you know, this is, you know, that's your dad, you know.
Yeah.
Trying to not have that relationship. She always was there as like, hey, you know, if I know you want that, if he's going to meet you halfway or come to that space, I support you in doing that. I support you in building that relationship. And I'm thankful for that. You know, I think that could have gone a definitely different way. And, you know, since then we've been building our relationship. You know, for me, I think one of them, like, kind of know how he is. I think asking that question, like you said, I want to ask my dad that. He's the type of person I don't think I will get the answer that I want. You know, so one of those, I've learned to accept that as well. People are like, yo, that's sure, you know what I mean? Like, but I'm like, I'm thankful for where we are now, you know? And, you know, we have a relationship, and I'm, you know, I think it's great from where it wasn't before, it was non-existent, so where it is now. You know, and that's something that, you know, I think we just constantly work on. Probably between him and I is very much that's not said, you know, but it's more through action.
Yeah.
You might just call, say what's up. When we go down, we stay with them. You know, and he's, you know, always checking in, proud of what we're doing, what you know, April and I are accomplishing and stuff like that. He's excited to meet the baby when we come down and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, it was just, I'll say, just peaks and valleys, and you know, it is still like, yo, like how'd you miss out on this? You know, like you want to ask those questions, and I may get at some point, you know, ask those questions. At this time, you know, I've decided it's not that important for me. You know, I think I'm like concentrating on moving forward. Versus like, I think I guess rehashing or trying to drum up those feelings. You know, I think in some ways, like I mentioned, like, you know, I don't know if the emotional capacity is there for the conversation that I will want, which is fine. You know, I think, you know, I've learned to, like, our parents are people too. So I know sometimes we hold them up here. So it's just like, you were at one point a young dude trying to figure it out. You know, you were parenting how you deemed the most correct way to do it, or how you were parented. You know, but I guess each generation we try to build off that and improve and just get better. So that's a long-winded answer.
No, you good, brother. It's your answer. And I think that when you say moving forward, the question I do have for you is, I see that you have your son, you're holding him right now. So how will you support him in exploring his feelings? Because I know right now, like, he may be crying, he may be sad, he may be hungry. But as he gets older, society does say black men shouldn't cry. They shouldn't do this. So how will you allow your son to explore his feelings?
Explore any and all feelings. I mean, that's how I was raised. You know, thankfully, you know, again, I wasn't, you know, I didn't have that in my life of, like, I guess, what a man should do or how he should act. You know, I had different examples of a bunch of different men who some were more stoked than others. Some were very much like, hey, you know, this is what's going on in house school, helping me, you know, challenging me to, why do you feel that way? Why are you thinking, you know, critically think and explore those different feelings. As well as my mom and my aunts and my grandmother and different people who, you know, we used to joke growing up, like my mom would just be able to cry, whether it be happy tears, and being younger, you don't always understand, like, if you're happy, why are you crying? But I saw early on, like, you can cry if you're happy. It's not always if something bad's happening, you're sad. And then, like, something that I think helped me out earlier on, which probably I didn't know would pay huge dividends in just who I am as a person, is, you know, I'm not sure if you know, but, you know, when I was about 10, my mom was diagnosed with a disease similar to multiple myeloma, amyloidosis. You know, so that was something that we dealt with as a family, of bouts of remission and chemo and different things, and the ups and downs of hospitalizations and all those things. You know, until she passed a couple of years ago. We dealt with as a family for almost 2 decades. So I say all that to say, earlier on, she got her treatment and care from Jefferson. They had a social work group for kids of parents who have cancer. So that was something that I was in, my sisters were in. And at that age, you're like, okay, I don't know what a social worker is, but you're just in there and they help you. Well, how are you feeling today? You may be upset or angry, or you don't understand why this had to happen to your mom, but helping you explore those different feelings. So I think, at that time, I learned earlier on, like, oh, it's okay to express whatever that is and lean into that and like really trying to understand, like, why am I feeling this way, So I think that just paid huge dividends on, like, I'm very expressive, but I don't say a lot. I say a lot, but if someone asks me, like, I give you a real answer. I don't try to run away from why I'm feeling different things. I try to be very introspective around, like, processing why am I feeling this way? Why was that my reaction to that question, to that answer, or something like that? So, I think that was super helpful, and I think helping me become who I am. And to answer your question, I would just like really try to support my son. And if we have additional children, we definitely want to expand our family, but pass that on to them, really to just, again, don't run away from that, like you said, despite what society says how you should act or what you should do or what you should say in different instances. Black men are human beings as well, So.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad that you talked about the experience that you've had when your mom did pass, because that's hard for somebody to be in your life and then suddenly they pass, and then the space and the resource that you found for you to be in that support system and say, hey, why did this happen to me? Because a lot of kids does have those kind of questions. And then you also said, I want to get back to, you said about your son, you said express all feelings and understand. And I think that's key as well, because it allows him to say, this is how I'm feeling. But then it also allows you to hear him, to say, hey, I'm upset. But then it just doesn't end right there. It's either you saying, okay, well, why are you upset?
Yep.
Let's have the conversation. Let's open that door for you to feel and understand why you're feeling this way. So even that being passed down from your mom to you and then now to your son and future kids as well. I commend your mother for that. Your mother, your grandmother, for allowing you to express yourself in ways and for you to understand that. So you said you had a lot of examples as far as Black men, what it should be to be a Black man. You said some were stoic. You said some were more expressive. So how did you navigate this world as a Black man so successfully? Did you learn from somebody? Did you observe anyone? Did anyone give you some advice that you can take from here?
Man, I think it's just, you take a little bit from everybody. Like I mentioned, my grandma was the oldest of 10, so I had 7 uncles. I was able to meet 6 of them. One passed before I came here, but from that, I got a slew of cousins. Again, who were a little older than me. Late 30s, early 40s, 50s. And I think as a family, being present, not just like showing up for like your family, but like your immediate family as well. Like, so I saw like, oh, I got cousins my age or younger, again, I saw them, how they would interact with their kids, whether they were married, serving as a husband, or just as a parent, or a spouse, or their professional careers. But much like I mentioned, play uncles and different people, always playing sports. So, basketball was probably my main sport, but, probably one of my first teams, like, my coach was like, that was my guy. You know what I mean? I think he saw like, okay, this is how Jimmy receives information. This is how he likes to be challenged. So now, and I was receptive to that, and we don't have relationships today, but he's somebody where I was like, man, like, it was just use sports as a vehicle to engage with young men or young women as well who play sports, so just like one of those, like, you learn different skill sets and lessons through sports. I won't say from sports, but through sports. So yeah, I mean, I think you just kind of take a little bit from each person. And I guess you try to build your own thing, your own creative player, I guess.
I heard that.
You
I
know, and say,
heard
like,
that.
you know, okay, this is we take from here, and this is who I am, and this is how it fits into my life, and who I am, you know, and kind of go from there.
Yeah.
Then also I have a great group of friends who I think we all challenge each other. We root for each other, support each other. You know, what I mean, we're at the age at this point. You know, it's like I love you, bro. Not on some what's going on, man, my man. Like it's no, how you been? You know, I'm checking in. You know, we're all across the country now, doing our thing. But it is like, you know, a brotherhood, a genuine love for each other. You know, like we are, you know, hugging each other and stuff like that. You know, at times we might cry each other. You know, because people are going through different things. People are starting their own families. People are investing in their careers. Others are losing loved ones as well. So it's like, you know, one of those, again, unfortunate shared experiences, but it's like whenever we know we can call each other, be each other, be there for each other, lean on each other when we need it. So,
yeah, I hear you when you said, you take a little bit from this person, take a little bit from that person. I don't know if you watched this show, but I'm getting this from a brother that said it in a meeting that I had on Wednesday. Samurai Jack. You've heard of Samurai Jack before, right?
the show,
Yeah.
I feel like I have.
Yeah. So with Samurai Jack, he went to different masters and learned different kind of masters around swordsmanship, samurai, becoming a samurai in different areas and different styles. And when I heard you say you take a bit and pieces from each person that you've come in encounter with, I hear that, and you become your own master of yourself. So I've done the same thing. I'm gonna put you in the group that I have as well, because all the brothers that I've had on, I've learned either they were younger than me, older than me, same age as me. I took bits and pieces from each person, and I'm still creating, still molding this master of who Octavius is. But then at some point, you got to say, I can't be like them, but how can I make this my own journey? How can I turn this into something that would benefit me? Have myself learn about myself a little bit more. And I think when you said take bits and pieces, that's key. Like you can learn from people, you can learn from a lot of people. But at the end of the day, who do you want to be? And why do you want to be that individual? So when you say James, Jimmy, people may say that Jimmy might be your alter ego. Like you may be that outgoing person in certain spaces. And some people may say, oh, that's James. But quiet, reserved, get things done, very short and to the point, that's Jimmy. Like some people may say it like that. I mean, I know I have. I never said it to you, but I have even at ECS when like you're laughing and you're joking around, like that might be James. That's why I said, "What's up, James?" Because I see you. But I never known that people called you Jimmy. So like I felt as far as Jimmy was, people in your circle, your immediate circle, were that's Jimmy. That's not James. I don't call him that. And like I've heard. No, I'm talking about people in your circle. Probably was like, yeah, I don't call him that. I call him Jimmy. Like I've heard your wife say it. I heard some people in your space say it as well. So I was just like, well, that's probably like a sense of endearment for certain people when it comes to Jimmy, James. Which one do I pick? But hearing you say you had multiple examples of what it means to be a black man, I think that's key for a young black man when they're growing up. It's just to see multiple ones. Yes, you may have a father, but it gets to a point where it's like, okay, I'm going to be going out into the world and I'm going to be working. I'm going, like you said, playing sports. I'm going to have friends. I'm going to have people that I talk to. I'm going to see other black men than just this person that I see at home every day. So I commend you for saying you had uncles, cousins, friends that embrace you, because some of us don't. Some black men do not have a space for people to embrace them. So thank you for sharing that. And I totally get it. So in this space of rep, I'm gonna just go into the space of, I gave you a lot of titles in the beginning, from father, husband, businessman. With those hats that you wear, how do you represent all of them when you're walking out into the world? Do you take one off in certain spaces? Do you put all of them on in one moment? How do you represent those identities?
Oh man. Well, I know at least the one that I always have is I'm a black man. You know, I'm always aware of it and proud of that when I step into a space. But yeah, I think sometimes you do have to be nimble and agile and kind of what is this asking of me? What is this requesting of me? So whether it's, I'm in the space more of, maybe engaging with young people, like, they might not need that from me, but maybe it's more of just like that ear, or maybe the more of the mentorship or the coaching or something like that. Another time it may be more of like the business acumen or sharing those stories. Or just, I think really it's just kind of like you got to being aware of the context, situation, what's being asked of you, or what you're stepping into. Like I said, sometimes it may be all or some. So yeah, I don't know how to answer that. I don't know how to answer that question in a good way. I think
you answered it. You answered it in the way that that I would answer it. How you step into a room is what people see first. They see that you're a black man first. And you sitting there saying that I may put it on this moment. They may need this. That's also your social work hat coming on.
Right.
Now you have to sit there and say, what do they need right now? I can't give them this blackness if they're not wanting that. They may just want an ear for somebody to just listen. I can't sit here and be pro-black, pro this, pro that if they just want somebody to listen to them. So no, you answered it the way you wanted to answer it.
Active listening.
Yeah, that's a hat right there. That's just what it is. You got to understand like what that really means. And I think what I see from you, you're happy when you're a husband and a father. You're professional when it comes to being a businessman, and you're understanding when it comes to you being a youth advocate. That's what I see. And you being a black man is like that umbrella for everything else. Because when you say I'm that umbrella or you're a black man, okay, I'm stepping into a space. I'm a black man first. What hat should I put on? Do I need to sit down and talk to these people about what these kids need? Do I need to sit down and say, hey, brother, well, your business is doing X, Y, and Z. I know somebody that can help you over here. Go over there. So hearing you say that, hearing you say you don't know if you answered the question correctly or in a good way, then you answered it, because that's how we all answer it. We say we're a black man first when we open up that door. People have expectations of us. They may say, well, he's a black man. What is he going to say? What is he going to do? How is he going to perform? And I think you personally perform in a way that says, I'm here, but you're also going to know I'm here about what I do, not about just what I say. So in this, go ahead, brother. Was you about to say something?
No, sir, I appreciate that.
Well, you're welcome. I'm gonna give you your flowers now. I'm not gonna sit there and wait, later on down the line to give you your flowers. I'm gonna give them now. So in this space of, you talked about the hats that you wear. What expectations do you have for yourself when it comes to being a father, husband, businessman, and then also a black man?
Yeah. I mean, I know people always say that, they're their biggest critic or, yeah, I mean, I try to be the best version of myself every day. And, I have folks in my life who give me nudges, see I'm not performing up to maybe, who I am. I pride myself on being consistent, and whatever that is, so showing up as a friend, a husband, a brother, whatever that is, I pride myself in that consistency. Whether it just be like actually like being engaged and showing up, but also in my actions and my behaviors. So, I mean, I think that's probably just like the biggest, I would say, expectation. I just try to really just strive for that consistency and being present. People know they can call me when they need me. And, champion for our people, young people, the sisters, the brothers, everybody, our communities as well. And that, that's something I pride myself on, those expectations. I don't try to beat myself up if I don't do that. We all have days and like you said, we're all, stuff like that. But, that consistency, I think that's probably the biggest thing.
Okay.
And, definitely moving forward, as he gets older, like again, being consistent, showing up, being present, being engaged, those are things that unfortunately I did not have growing up, from my direct father, but it's like one of those where it's like, I'm like, okay, if and when I do have children, like that's going to be me. And not just showing up, but also, someone can see all sides of me. So it's not just happy Jimmy or whatever, but, the different emotions, also being emotionally present in those things as well. So that's something I'll look forward to. That's something that I try to do. Like I said, as a business partner, as a friend, as a husband, as a brother to my siblings and stuff like that. So, as a professional as well. So,
okay. So how do you think you overcome societal expectations when it comes to being a black man?
I think at this point, I don't say I don't care about them. I'm aware of them, but I think, growing up at first it is, and I think as I was becoming a young man, it is that, okay, I've overcome statistically what it looks like to be from an inner city and a single parent and from a certain, certain economic background, to where I was able to, go where I'm going, but I think now I'm like, that doesn't mean I don't put much weight into that, I do it. I know it does exist. So I guess really it's, on some like, Jordan stuff like you really battle yourself. You know what I mean? It's
that's true.
That's who I'm trying to be, trying to best every day is I guess that previous version of myself, from yesterday, something like that. So
I totally agree with you because it's like at some point, societal expectations, I really don't care. Like, let's just be honest, because at some point you're just beating yourself. And if you're trying to beat societal expectations and also expectations that you have for yourself, like you can burn yourself out. And it's like with Michael Jordan, he was only trying to beat himself. He wasn't even worrying about the competition. It's just like, how can I be better the next day, next game, next month, next year? And even hearing you say, how can you be a better man, be a better father, be a better husband? Like those are expectations you have on yourself. Society doesn't have those expectations on you. They have expectations of you being from a single parent household, you being a black man and in the city. Those are expectations to say, well, yeah, he's not going to do that much. But you beat the odds. A lot of people say, well, that's the, cliche term, cliche slogan, but you did.
I realized for myself, and I would tell people, in a real life thing, I definitely, I'm no longer in the space of workforce development every day, working with people, but, I think people come in and they have, remember working with a lot of young men, and it's like, oh, I got this going on, I got that going on. And, I remember telling one dude, I'm like, everybody got a story, like not to the minute we're going through. And I think once I learned it for myself, it's, we all have different starting points. So like, yes, it feels good when you're like, oh man, like, maybe against society didn't expect me to end up at a Arcadia or at a St. Joe's and doing these different things. But it's like, okay, it's people that I was meeting people who from, coming from different countries. And I'm like, we're all here together, which is like, you defy whatever odds you have, so it's like, it's like, I guess using that as fuel and power to keep going and keep pushing. And, I don't say I'm trying to hold myself to expectations of my immediate circle and my friends, but I do say, hey, I do ask my wife, hey, how can I be better? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What are my blind spots? That's something, again, from social work,
Yeah.
What are my blind spots? So that was something always, whether as like a leader or as a manager, I was asking my staff, what am I not seeing? I can't be everywhere. As a friend, I know, what more can you need from me, or what more can you use from me? As a brother, so I'm very close to my sister. So she's again another person who very vocal. Sometimes you need people in your life to push you. Stuff like that. So again, it's something that I respect her opinion, and somebody that I'm a little older than her, but we have a mutual respect and admiration. And I know if she's telling me something that's, hey, it's to better myself as well as my wife and my friends, my business partners who are really like my brothers. So again, if it's we have real life, have real conversations that go just beyond X's and O's and strategy for the business, but it's something that we started over 10 years ago, as friends, and we can operate in those different spaces of friend, business partner. Sometimes when it might be a hybrid, but then also you also having to be able to receive whatever that feedback is. So I'm challenging myself of sometimes like, oh, I didn't want to hear that, but I needed to, or why was my reaction to that when I asked April, blah blah blah, whatever that is, and trying to discern, okay, from that I hear this, and I need to maybe work on that or add this to it, and hold that mirror up. So that's a constant daily thing.
Yeah. Okay.
So working on it. So
I hear you. We all working on something at some point. So I do want to ask you this question of, in the space of, you expressed being a Black man in this world, societal expectations, and with those societal expectations, how would you like people to perceive Black men?
Yeah, I said it earlier. Whole real life people. I'll say complex individuals. And I think those are earlier thing, and I didn't get a chance to mention it. Of like, yes, I was fortunate to have all these different influences, but I think it's like a point in your life when you realize, like, oh crap, my grandfather, who whoever I hold up here. You get older, you start making more connections. Like you start peeping different things. Like, oh, maybe that's not the best trait from that person, but this is someone who, in your eyes could do no wrong, or uncle or a dad or someone. So you also, begin to understand like these individuals are human as well, and they have different challenges in whatever space that is. So I think, again, people to look at all Black men in that sense. Complex individuals. I think I think we're as a collective getting past hopefully that whole like strong Black man, strong Black woman. At one point it was a compliment, or was deemed as a compliment, or interpreted as a compliment. Now people was thinking like, I don't always want to be the strong Black woman, the strong Black woman. I need something different. I need more. That it gets heavy. Trying to do that show up as that way every day. I would just say like, just human beings with a complexity, a variety of emotions and feelings and how they show up, and like you said, how the different hats they wear depending on their environment. So
okay, thank you, because I agree with you. They need to look at us as human beings. We have mood swings. Kyrie Irving said it best. We have mood swings. We are human. That's the life of being a human. You get upset, you get angry, you're happy, you're sad. But that's just what it is about being a human. No matter your status, no matter where you are, if you're LeBron James, or if you're me, or if you're a student in college or elementary school, high school, doesn't matter. You're still a human. You still should be seen as a human. And it gets to a point where you have that understanding of, hey, I'm a Black man, but I can also cry, be sad, be happy. And I'm glad that you said to be human, because we had almost every brother on here. If I did a survey, every brother said for them to look at us as human. So I know you've heard about this podcast. I know you.
I would like to add. A word that came to me is resilient. I think history has shown, like, as a people, we're resilient. And that could be from whatever, but I think that's something that, when I take a step back, or the 30,000 foot, view, bird's eye view, is like, we're some resilient people. And whatever obstacles come our way, I think that's a positive trait. But we push through whatever that is. I don't say we got to fight for everything, but the resiliency is something that I think is something that can't be denied. So
we get things done when we need to get things done, no matter the obstacle, no matter, because we don't seen our ancestors do it. Not seen, but we've heard about it. And we know that if we have an obstacle in front of us, we're going to figure it out, or we have a team behind us to help us figure it out. I think with that resiliency, it comes with just straight confidence of just being people of color, because a lot of people want to say people of color, black men, black people. Just being in that space of being a black man, you have a team, and a lot of people, we need to recognize first that we are a team, and we can be resilient when it comes down to, hey, brother, we need to get this done like tomorrow. How are we gonna get it done? And I think at some point in those spaces, we get it done. No matter the, like I said, no matter the obstacle, we get it done. So I appreciate you for adding that piece to it, because a lot of people didn't say that. So I thank you for adding that.
Okay.
So in this space of the name of the podcast, you've heard about it. You heard other brothers on. In this space of woke, wealth of knowledge, I'm going to ask you to be in the space of in the middle. So you have some people on one end who are young brothers that may be talking to you about certain things. They may be trying to tell you, hey, this is going on in society. Why is this happening? But you also have an older brother that may be saying the same thing. We've been through this already. Young people need to do this. Young people need to do that. And you got the young brother saying, well, old head, you're not listening to what I'm saying. So in this space of wealth of knowledge, could you provide us with either a piece of advice to the younger generation, the older generation, or both?
Yeah. So that's two things I would throw out. And I guess I don't say they go hand in hand, but they're in I guess in similar veins. Is I feel like one, you kind of lightly danced or touched on it, but like, you know, for me, to me, is like we're not in competition. You know, we, like you said, we're on the same team.
Yeah.
And I think that that gets lost a lot when we're as a community trying to tackle different issues. And the other thing that frustrates me as well with that is, you know, which I've seen in different community-based community engagement work or in a professional setting or even in business, like we get in our own way, which is very frustrating when you see it, or we don't know how to get out of our own way. And you know, something I've seen across men as people, but definitely for black men, I think that pride and ego can be some of the biggest downfalls or pitfalls on why things don't get done or why things don't get done at the pace or speed they need to. You know, again, people get in their own way. So, you know, if it was a piece of advice, you know, I think to let that pride and ego go. Confidence, like you said, we're confident people. I love that. But sometimes that pride and ego, it's too self-serving, you know, it's, you know, we miss out on opportunities or we don't maximize opportunities for ourselves, for our people. And then we look in hindsight and it's a year later or 5 years later and, it, you know, oh man, that could have been this. And I'm like, you know, again, if we were able to work together and listen to each other, I mean, that might be another one, like you said, really hear someone and what they're trying to communicate to you. I think we could get a lot further. Now I would tell that to people in the middle, the older generation, the younger generation, like, you know, like we all on the same team or we, you know, we strive to be, you know what I mean? Some people do have their own motives, but, you know, when we're trying to be progressive and push forward, you know, agendas and things for our people, like that should be the common goal. You know, not what Octavius thinks. Like, yes, Octavius might have his way of how he wants to get there. Yeah. He might think this, but then it's like, okay, you know, it really ultimately 100 years from now, neither one of us are going to be here. You know, so really, if it's okay, how do we push this forward for it can benefit the most people, not just, you know, for Octavius's legacy or the immediate application on that. So, yeah, and I see that, you know, man. I'm pretty sure you've seen that in your line of work. I see it in business. I've seen it in the community efforts on why things don't get done on, you know, where they could get done. You know, the potential is there, but again, we get in our own way at times. That's something I would encourage my fellow brothers to really hear and listen to and practice. Get out of our own way listening, and kind of leaving that pride and ego at the door. You know, when we're trying to get things done together. Because again, people know we can get it done. Is sometimes we get in our own way. So
I think one thing that caught my attention was when you said it's not a competition, and I've expressed this on several occasions. We can all eat, like we can all eat at one point. But the one thing I want to add to that space of Kevin Hart said this on the pivot. He said, "Yes, I have my own tequila. Yes, the Rock has his own, but I will be the first one to uplift his." I think that's a great example of what it means to not be in competition with your brother. Meaning, if you have something and I have the same thing, I'm going to uplift yours. But also, yes, I have mine, but I'll be the first one to raise up a glass, raise up this bottle to say, hey, come get this. That's just what it is. So I think that this whole issue of competition, we don't need to fight each other. We really don't. This competition of who's in this space, who's doing this, who's doing that. Even in the line of work that I'm doing outside of this is we all work in silos. Like we have things going on over here. We have things going on over here, but we don't want to make it bigger. We want to make it bigger on our own, but then you can help so many more people if y'all just did it together. And I just think that competition is like the detriment of Black men, ego, like you said, and not being able to take a step back and say, okay, I don't know how to do this, but he does. I'm very well at this. I can support him with that. That's just not how it goes.
And being humble enough, you know what I mean? That's something that I pride myself on, is being humble. Humble enough to ask, yo, Octavius, I can't do this. I know you can. All right, let's go get so-and-so. Let's get homie over here, because I know he can. This is the piece that we're missing. This set or this woman or whoever, whatever party, you know we need this group or these individuals to help us get to that next level. And, you know, not wasting time and energy trying to, again, like, no, I did it. And I would say, you know, I know that those feelings of competition exist for different reasons, you know. I mean, really, you know, I guess you could argue, you know, that we've been replacing competition, and what we thought was competition, the moment we got, you know, we're set foot here, you know, placing with one another, you know, so it's going to still take a lot of unlearning, you know, so whether in business or, you know, we both were kind of in the social services space. So, you know, you see how, you know, organizations are pitted against one another, you know, the lack of funding or the funding structure or how those things, you know, again, it just continuously reinforces that, like, oh, like, you know, yes, we have this common mission, but, you know, if I don't get awarded, then I see, you know, so again, I guess try to just foster that collaboration and partnership, you know, those two words, I think, you know, could be thrown out in the atmosphere a lot more.
A whole lot more.
Like you said, everyone eats, but at some point, and I think people will like lose track of that as well. Hey, maybe the immediate thing might be, yo, let's get Octavius in the podcast on, and then down the road, downstream, this is when we hit him with the 1-2, you know, and so he can benefit from this and like strategizing on, okay, everyone can get their needs met, but we need to strategize on how we do that. I'm comfortable to say, okay, you know what? Yeah, you know, it's Octavius' time to shine first. And then I know, you know, I'm confident, and I know, like you said, he's going to support me in getting mine. So, I think, you know, sometimes we lose that. So, or that's
always go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying that's ignored, you know, whether in business or just, you know, whatever walk of life.
I hear you, because it's also the when you say competition, is also checking other people's pockets when it comes down to it. Because like you said, if you send it saying, well, it's his time right now, and I know he's going to support me later on down the line, that's just what it is. But then it's also, we got to keep each other accountable, because we can sit here and say, yeah, we'll do this, we'll do that. Later on down the line, somebody gonna forget,
right?
And it's like, we have to keep each other accountable. We're like, hey, bro, like, it's that time. Let's go. And if I'm not ready, I got to get ready, and vice versa. So I know you express certain things when it comes to seeing things, experiencing things, as well as myself. What's one thing you think black males can do to grow together?
No, I mean, I feel like we said a lot. I mean, I think at this point, I mean, again, just being, I'll say, emotionally aware and emotionally available. And again, I think you see more people in counseling or in therapy, or just being aware of how their upbringing has, made them who they are. And I'm like of the mind frame now, or mindset of like, okay, these things, like either you work on them or you don't. That's, as an adult, that's your task and challenge. Or if it's, hey, I want to work, I see this deficiency here, I want to improve it. Okay, how do I go best about that? Putting that work in to just be better. Again, like I said, than your previous self the day before or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I think that now it's like, taking stock of just the different emotions that we're feeling, and it's not just anger or frustration or being happy, but everything in between. You know what I mean? And that takes time. But having friends and a network and spouses and different people who can support you in that journey, I think will pay huge dividends for us. Because using your example of, hey, we're in business and maybe, this something happened and so someone forgets, but then maybe say, hey, yo, bro, like, I was hurt by that. You know what I mean? And be able to express that, and someone say, I feel you now, I received that. Yes, that was on me. I dropped the ball, versus, nah, bro, you tripping. Da-da-da-da. And then it's like, then businesses get fractured, relationships get fractured, versus like leaning into, okay, I hear them. And, I guess, losing that whole thing of being emotional, whatever that means. But allowing yourself, allowing us to feel different emotions and feelings. And like I mentioned, just, challenging ourselves to be more emotionally aware and available for ourselves, for our friends, for our loved ones, and those things. I think we're seeing now, like, that whole angry black man or hypermasculinity or toxic masculinity is not working for us. So I think that's kind of being, pushed out as the mainstream depiction of black men, through every day, as well as through media and cinema and stuff like that. We're starting to be shown more as, like we said, just being human, and celebrated in that way. So that's something I hope that we can, continue building on that momentum.
Okay, thank you. I'm very glad that you said that, because you said emotionally available.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one thing that we definitely need to recognize. Because like you said, those conversations of wanting to approach the conversation, but not knowing how they're going to respond is a scary thing for some people. And I think with that, just understanding like yourself and saying, okay, I need to be humble in this moment. He is checking me, but he's doing it out of love. And I think that's one thing that we kind of miss is, how is this person checking me? Are they doing it out of love? Are they doing it to make me better? So I think that was key. So I appreciate you for saying that, brother. Before we end, I do want to elevate any work that you have coming up,
Okay.
any events, any programming that you have going on. If you can plug your business, please do.
Oh, for sure. I appreciate that. As you mentioned, I'm a business owner. I'm co-founder in Common Ground Management, firm here in Philadelphia, marketing firm. Started with two partners, John and Sherm. But we're just really big on supporting our communities. We assist individuals in business formations, trademarks, different business services, different marketing services, logo and website design. But we've been fortunate to be in business for over a decade, and helped, at this point, thousands of Philadelphia-based businesses, as well as across the country. So if you're in need of those services, as well as follow us on CGM Philly. We're really big on accurate information, and it's accurate information as well as just resources. So our big thing is, hey, if we don't know the answer, we want to connect you with someone who does. So whether that's the legal realm or the accounting space, we're big on just entrepreneurs and small business, and seeing, again, not flaws that our previous generation had, but how we can build on what our, forefathers and foresisters built for us as a business community. How we can take it to the next level. So we're really big on just uplifting individuals and businesses and those things, help people trying to scale and grow their businesses. Other thing I would want to really share with folks is I'm on the board for a nonprofit called Athletic Club of Fairhill. So it's a organization that focuses on engaging young people, primarily ages 4 to 11, using soccer as a vehicle to just really everything we talked about, exploring their leadership skills, their emotions, physical and I'll say physical wellness as well as behavioral wellness, those things, and just really using soccer as a vehicle to potentially alter the trajectory of some of these young people's lives. We primarily serve individuals in the Fairhill community that's in North Philly, but we have young people on our team from all across the city as well as in the immediate area. But they play soccer throughout the year. We've had some young people been able to go on to, I know your alma mater, Roman, those prep, just be in different spaces, go on college tours, see life beyond just Philadelphia. We have young people that traveled and played in tournaments in Ireland. I haven't been to Ireland, but I know that was life-changing for some as well as just different parts of the country. So we're just really promoting that work. You can check us out on acfairhill.com, acfairhill. That's the Instagram handle as well. But really just, really trying to support young people and just, being the best person they can be and then helping them get to that next level. I'm big on opportunity access. So whatever that looks like, I'm here for it. So.
Yeah. Well, brother, I want to say thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. And I love you, man.
Love you as well.
I want to thank everybody for listening. I do want to plug some things for you all. Follow us on Instagram, Urban Thinker Media. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Urban Thinker Media as well. And also go to our website, urbanthinkermedia.com. We have some projects coming up soon. We have some projects coming up next year. I will be reaching out to James and other Black men that you've seen and heard or have not seen just yet. But at the end of the day, see you all next time with another dope brother here on the Middle Brother Podcast.
Appreciate it.
Peace.